Hi, everybody, and welcome to Divinely Empowered with Antonia. Today we have Spring, who's one of my advanced practitioners, and she's been with me since the beginning. And I just thought we'd address some questions. We've done a lot of press recently. We've got more upcoming. And I just wanted to explain some things about divine empowerment and have Spring ask me some questions, do a live healing, explain about the reverse aging, the ECR, tell you about some deals we've got coming up. So I just wanted to share what divine empowerment is and what we do here. So Spring, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm really excited about this and all the press that's been coming out about divine empowerment.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We've been in the Star, we've been in the Sun, we've been in Metro, we've been in some locals, Cornwall Live, I did a shoot with as well. And we've got potentially some TV and radio coming up in the next few days as well. So it's all very, very exciting. So I just wanted everyone to know a bit more about what we actually do, because my YouTube, I talk about what I do, but I also interview amazing and wonderful people with their talents, anything alternative, healing, various different styles and any sort of spiritual wisdom. And I just wanted to go into what we actually do. So if people click on, they can find out more about us. So I think what we should start with is really doing a healing before we get into anything else, because there is a bread and butter thing. Like I started, well, Spring's been with me since the beginning, but the first thing that I came up with was dissolving emotional traumas. And amazingly, this works in video. So you can literally follow along with us now, and Spring's going to help me out. We're going to dissolve an emotional trauma, and it will be embedded in the video. And when you're watching this later on, no problem at all. It will work for you as long as you can feel it. So there is a caveat. If you can feel it, I can heal it, or we can heal it. But I need you to be able to feel it and tune into the emotions. So yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so basically what I'd like you to do is think of a situation, a solo trauma event, they call it in psychology. But basically it's when you think of something, it's upsetting, but it's something that happened only one time. So if you were in an abusive relationship, or there was some style of abuse which was ongoing, then think of one particular day when one particular argument happened, when one particular horrible situation happened to you, and we'll focus on that one specifically, rather than the abuse going on over several months or years, as it may have been. So when everyone's ready, then just think about a particular situation, just give it a name, maybe fight with boyfriend, fight with so-and-so, betrayal, heartbreak, whatever it may have been. So just choose a solo situation, something that happened once, and then give yourself a moment just to tune into it. And grade it out of 10, 10 being the most severe, 0, obviously, there's nothing there. So just give yourself a moment to, one, choose it, name it, make sure it's a solo event, not something which is an ongoing situation. Think about that one particular situation and then grade it out of 10. So I'm just going to give everyone a couple of seconds just to do that. Right. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and think about that situation and allow yourself to feel it. You really need to allow yourself at your own pace, in a safe pace for you. Allow yourself to sort of open up that Pandora's box and feel those emotions. And then make sure you've got a grade out of 10, maybe 8 or 9, whatever it might be for you. Okay, and just really sit there. And Spring and I are going to start to dissolve the emotional resonance of it for you. Now, sometimes people think it becomes numb. It's not numb, it becomes empty, because emotion is energy. Look at the word emotional, energy, and motion. So it's just going to be, when you think about it, all this emotion bubbles up, and we've taken empathy to the next level. What we can do is dissolve the emotional charge of a situation for you. So you just think about it, and we're going to literally evaporate or erase those stagnant emotions which are causing you to suffer. So, okay, close your eyes, and you've got your number out of 10. You know what you're talking about, and just allow yourself to feel it. And as Spring and I will start to remove the emotional resonance of it, so it just becomes neutral at the end. You think about it, it's still your history, it's still your situation. I wouldn't want to remove your past and your life from you in any way, but it's just the charge to it, the upset from it will just start to dissipate. All right, ready, everybody? Okay, please close your eyes and tune in. Okay, and Spring, let's do our thing.
Sure.
Okay. And that's the first round. So if people are watching this live at home or later at home, does that feel any different? So give yourself a second to really tune into that situation. Does it feel as upsetting and as triggering as it did previously? If it was an 8 out of 10, is it a 5? Does it feel different? Do comment below and let us know. So does that feel any different to you? It should feel a bit lighter. We'll do a second round and then we'll get into the rest of everything. And if there is still a trigger after we've done the second round, it still feels very upsetting, then just simply rewind and rewatch and keep going until it feels like it's a 2 or a 0 and it's no longer upsetting to you. Okay, everyone, ready for round 2? So just tune into it again. Use the same situation, or if it feels empty, you can choose something new. We want to make sure it goes down. It should go down by about 3-4 points every time that we do this, unless it's a very, very big situation, like a very raw, something that happened very recently, or something which is still very, very upsetting. Then it may take a little bit longer for you. And if that's the case, just rewatch it. All right, let's do the second round and then we'll get into some more of the Divine Empowerment stuff. Okay, let's go then. Okay. Okay, so hopefully that's feeling a bit better. Yeah, anything from you, Spring? I've just dominated. You you can talk too.
No, it's good. This is mainly about you and about Divine Empowerment, and to just highlight also the services that Divine Empowerment has as a whole, as a company, and how people can access you and all the other services. So shall we go into that?
Yes. Well, yeah. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, so one of the things, one of the services that I personally think is particularly fascinating is ECR, so the energetic cellular regeneration. Would you like to go
let's
into
talk about that?
Yeah,
let's go into
so how did that come about?
Yes.
I remember it was linked to one of your friends having an injury.
Yes.
So if you would like to tell us about that, that would be great.
Sure. Okay. Let's also, I think we should start with the big stuff and work our way backwards. So basically, energetic cellular regeneration is a really wonderful energy. But what it means is raising the voltage of your cells. And that's actually reverse aged, me specifically. And I'm going to show you some pictures on that and talk about what happened with Lisa and how this was born. But some of the miraculous things is Karen, who's one of my advanced practitioners as well and long-term friend as well. She has actually reversed her menopause. So we're going to get into that. And then we'll talk about Lisa. Okay, so I've got a friend, Lisa, who had she had a fight with a blender. She unfortunately stuck her fingers inside one of those hand soup maker blenders and managed to, it's not very glamorous, she mangled it. And it was trashed. It was very bad. And she went to the doctor and it was obviously very upset. It's just very upsetting and a very dramatic and traumatic injury in every way. So she ended up having 6 stitches in one of her fingers, and fingers are very small. So 6 stitches is a large number of stitches to be in a singular finger, but she was 2 fingers that weren't that well. So she went to the doctor and had the stitches. She was having everything replaced the bandages replaced every day, and then every 2 days, and it got progressively less. And then it was once a week, and she went to the doctor, and I think it was 6 weeks after her issue, her accident, that the doctor said it was necrotic. So necrosis is when you have cell death. It's when you have gangrene or leprosy or frostbite. It's a very, very severe thing, and it went black. And when there's no going back from rotting flesh, what they do in the good old days is they would have to amputate it. Nowadays, what they tend to do and what they suggested to her is a skin graft. So they would scrape away the dead cells and then they replace it with skin from another area of the body. She was obviously worried about this, and she, I sometimes record with her, and we were about to do a video, and we were on Zoom, and she told me that it was necrotic. So I was worried about her, but I'd been at the time researching 2 amazing scientists, Dr. Warburg and Dr. Otto. And they were doing work on cellular regeneration. Now, I do energetic cellular regeneration because we're using energies to do it, but they were doing cellular regeneration work. So Dr. Warburg is a Nobel Prize laureate who was working and looking into cellular voltage. Now, the voltage of cells actually can be measured by machines and decreases as we get older. So according to him, if you're in very good health, if you're 70 to 90 millivolts, you are in great health. If you're 30 to 50 millivolts, you are in less good health. And then 20 millivolts is when you're in poor health. You've got some awful disease. So that was the first thing. So I was looking at the voltage. And then I was looking into Dr. Becker, who was an orthopedic surgeon who ended up working for a veterinary school and started looking at salamanders. Now, salamanders have the ability to regenerate their tails, half an eyeball, or their legs. So how the dickens do they actually regenerate limbs? So what he was doing is he wanted to try and figure that out. So he ended up amputating a salamander's legs and was looking at it and started to measure. It started to grow back, as is how it works. And he was trying to figure out why. So he started looking at the electrical current around where the leg had been, and there was actually a surge of energy followed by a pulsing. And he thought, if I can recreate this current using the other guy's information as well, the current, the Warburg, the voltage. If you can recreate the current, can the same thing happen to a frog? So that's what he did. He amputated the leg of a frog, and he used the same electrical current that he found on the salamander. And lo and behold, amazingly, miraculously, the frog's leg grew back. This is in the 70s. Don't know why we don't know more about it. Anyway, so I've got these two scientists in my head, and I start thinking, what do I do about Lisa's finger? So I thought, see if I can tune into the voltage. So I tuned in psychically to what the voltage was, and the voltage was 20 millivolts, which made sense because that's, as I said, someone very poorly has a 20 millivolt voltage. So it's it's dying. So I created a new style of feeling on the spot to raise the voltage of the cells in Lisa's finger. And I managed to raise the voltage of the cells in her finger, and I got it to over 100. And it stabilized there. And what was really amazing about it is she started to regenerate. Her fingers started to regenerate. She could feel it coming back to life because there was no feeling in her finger at all. She could feel some tingling and things happening. And over the course of, it's a year and a half ago nearly now, she, over the course of a year, it started to come back, and then she got feeling back in it. It was quite hollow. So it started to fatten up, and actually the flesh regenerated from the inside. Then she got the feeling back, and now it's only a minor scar. So it's completely regenerated, and her finger is now working, and it should have had to have been skin grafted or amputated. So she's actually totally regrown her finger, which is just mind-blowing. So as I was working on her, I thought, well, why don't I start working on my face? Is there anything that I can do to my face? Because as we age, our voltage decreases. Mm-hmm. So I thought, let's try this. Let's see if we can work on my face. So I started to work on my face, and rather amazingly, my face has, and my body, and actually everything else, because I started to expand it from my face to the whole of my body. And now I've got the life force that I had in my 20s. I've got so much more energy, and my face has regenerated which is really amazing. So I'm just going to show you the before and after, because I've got a board here so you can see what it looks like, because this is pretty cool. Now, that way. So if we look at this here, you can see that line there. And if you look at my face, it's not there anymore. It's completely regenerated. So
can you put the picture a little bit closer to your camera, please?
Yeah, it's
yeah, that's better.
So if you can see that,
now we can see that line. It's quite deep, actually.
Yeah, that line is quite deep.
Mm-hmm. And even here, there's a line here that you don't have anymore.
Yeah, here. And my nose, my crinkles around my nose, the lines on my forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this one was very strong, and whilst it's still there, it's a lot less visible, for sure. Yeah.
It's this side, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that line's completely gone. That's doing a big smile. That's completely gone.
And this line is completely gone now in the nose. There.
Yeah, the nose line's gone. My lips are a bit thicker.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting,
the top lip is thicker.
Yeah, the lip is thicker. What's really interesting about it as well is my I'm heavier now than I was. I'm a few kilos heavier now than I was when I took this picture. Probably about 5 kilos heavier now. But I look my face looks narrower now than it did then.
Yeah, it looks slimmer.
Actually drooped. It's actually jowls and it's actually drooped there.
Yeah.
So my face looks, my face now looks narrow, but it's like when people have a facelift, they're actually pulling up their face. So it looked like I've had a facelift because my face is actually narrower now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, that's like every indication. This bit as well is less shadowy. And this was taken at golden hour. I made sure that I took it, it's a nice picture from a nice time. I think someone also said my gums look like they're lighter. I don't know if you can see that, but apparently my gums are lighter.
Yeah, that's difficult to see right now.
Difficult to see in a picture, yeah.
But there's a big difference between that picture and you right now, for sure.
Yeah, significant.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really fun. And then we had a situation with Karen as well, which was really cool. So Karen was in perimenopause. So you only hit full menopause when you've had no cycle for a year. That's when it's called menopause. So she was in perimenopause, but she was very tired. She was feeling very lackluster. And she just wasn't in a good way at all.
And Karen was someone who would get up at 5, or she is someone who gets up at 5 and does her Pilates as a Pilates instructor and does her meditation and her journaling. And she wasn't doing any of that anymore because of the symptoms of the perimenopause. She was just exhausted and tired and quite emotional. Yeah.
Yeah. So she was in a bad way, and she's she's very, very fit. But she just was feeling absolutely terrible, and she missed 3 cycles. But she was and she's 50, so she was not her normal self. And actually, you both came over to visit me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just done ECR on myself, and I'd raised the voltage. So as I said, the voltage decreases as you get older. And I was bouncing around like a puppy. I was just so energetic. And you guys were both quite tired, and especially Karen. And I booked this day where I had so many, you were only here in the country for a very short time. So I booked a day, starting with axe throwing at 10 a.m. So, then it was lunch, then it was barbecue, then it was beach, and it was all these different things that we were planning on doing. And Karen was just sort of groaning, thinking, goodness, how the heck am I going to have such a busy day? And so at lunch, because I was so energized, I thought at lunch I'd work on you guys, and I raised the voltage of your cells immediately at lunch. And then Karen had the most profound one, because she was so energized straight away afterwards that I think both of you were rabbiting away in the car on the way back. But what was really interesting specifically about Karen is her cycle came back. Like she had all the energy that she's all of her energy came back. She was able from the following day to go and do her routine at the 5 a.m. of the meditation, running, all of those things. But her cycle has completely come back, and she's now no longer perimenopausal. And that was over a year ago. And she's now no longer menopausal or perimenopausal. She's just got her cycle back.
And she also reported straight after that being very productive and just having so much extra energy that allowed her to get all her work done, and she was more focused because part of the perimenopause made her also have some brain fog, and all of that cleared within 24 hours, which was incredible to even witness, having been there in person as well. Yeah.
So that was really interesting as well, because there were things that she didn't have very much bandwidth, and emotional bandwidth. I think we're all familiar with, like, you can only really get on with the things that you can get on with, and anything extra to your workload, to your day load, is very difficult. And it's very difficult to switch tasks, to do something like laundry and then like a meeting and then reading. I don't know, like just switching tasks is quite difficult for people to do. And she had been putting off her divorce for a long time, because actually doing the paperwork is very difficult. There's a lot of things to do, and it's just getting on with things. And then you've got your normal workload, and you've got that on top. And she was sweeping it under the rug and just not getting on with it, which is really not who she is as a person. And then she suddenly had the emotional bandwidth and the energy and the strength to then go and deal with that which she had been putting off. So that made a big difference to her. And now she's just back to how she was before. She's back to how she was, years before. And actually, interestingly, she's running further and she's stronger. She's fitter. Her fitness has increased. She's actually taken the clock back a number of years, maybe 10 or 15 years. She's feeling much, much younger.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. But we've done some things to you as well. Do you want to tell your story about, tell us your story about your tumor. That one's a fun one.
Yes. Last year in summer, but I began to have pains in my abdominal area around about May. And I assumed it was because I'd always had strong period pains, so I didn't pay too much attention to it. But then by the time it was July, I couldn't really ignore how painful my periods were. And also just in between, I was experiencing pain in between periods. And then I started to get worried that I was premenopausal, but that didn't make sense because I still had all my energy levels, since you had done ECR on me already, and I had already taken the classes, the top level classes where we were learning ECR. So I decided to investigate, and it turned out that I had a relatively small tumor in my uterus, but it was still a tumor. They didn't say it was a malignant. They said it was a benign. Is that what you call it in English? Benign tumor. So, one that is encapsulated and isn't cancerous yet, but it was still causing me a lot of pain and discomfort. And so first, my initial instinct as healer was to obviously have a look, well, what's behind this, right? Like, what has caused me, my body to create a tumor? What emotions am I not dealing with? So I looked into the MAT book that we use, the Metaphysical Anatomy book.
Let's explain that a bit more before we go in. So the way that I understand it is that diseases come in three categories: a gas, a liquid, and a solid. And thought-based diseases are gas-based diseases. So when you hang around somebody who's sad or angry or upset, you spend 2 seconds with them, they're literally radiating that. You can feel it. It's like a gas. They almost smell of it. Surrounds the air around them. And if you walk into a room after an argument, you can literally, we say, cut the air with a knife. So emotions are like gases. And then they can become like liquids. So how does a gas become a liquid? It slows down and it cools down. Condensation. Think about steam to condensation to the water vapor to condensation. It slows down and it cools down. The molecules slow down and cool down. So gas becomes a liquid, slowing down and cooling down. So basically, if you get very fixated on something like not feeling supported, all of those emotions of not feeling supported go to a particular area in your body, and that is your back. So backache, the emotions behind backache is not feeling supported. So that's what that one is. And it behaves like a backache behaves like a fluid. Sometimes it's a 10 out of 10, sometimes it's a 2 out of 10. It moves around the body. It doesn't have a fixed location. It zooms around and it increases and decreases in strength. So it really does behave like a fluid. Another fluid would be a cyst. A cyst is a literal ball of fluid. And then Spring was at the following stage, which is a solid. So obviously a cyst is, if you press a cyst, it is liquid. So it has some sort of movement to it. It can be compressed. Whereas a tumor, a benign tumor, is a solid ball of cells. It's solid, but it's that compression, it's that liquid, those thoughts compress to become that. And then if you have a malignant tumor, which is stage 4, malignant tumors have started to spread. That's when they're cancerous and they're capsulated. They've got a capsule on it, something around them, a capsule around them, and then they pop and then they start to spread around the body. That's the stage 4 in my model, but it's a solid which has just had so much compression that eventually just bursts. So you were at the stage 3 in the model in my grand theory of disease, and that is you had a solid based tumor. So what we do is we focus on the emotions of it. So we think that diseases are based on emotions and compressed thoughts, compress. So you started to look into the thoughts associated with your benign tumor, and it's specific to where it is in the body and what the illness is. They've all got different emotional reasons behind them. Okay, carry on.
Yes, so once I got on with that research, I worked on myself to dissolve those emotions, and also got other colleague practitioners to work on me. So I've done the pre-work of dealing with the emotions and also changing the situation in my personal life that had led me to develop all of those emotions. But the pain was still there, and it coincided around about the time after you had discovered ECR, the next stage, where you were sort of playing with the energies as you do in between levels, as you're discovering and downloading more and more information each time. And you offered to work on me and see what happens. And you also got me to have a look psychically as you were working on me, to observe what was happening. So prior to when you started working on me, you got me to poke the area just to see whether that was painful, and it was incredibly painful just to poke it slightly. And then you began to work on me, and as you worked on me, I could see strands being recoded, as if the strands around the structure that had formed in my body was being recoded and changed shape. And as it was recoded and changed shape, the pain decreased more and more and more, to the point where after I don't know how long you worked on me, I think it was around about 10 or maybe 20 minutes. We did several rounds of it. And afterwards, the pain was just gone, which was incredible, because it was so fast, and it never came back. And I had been, I was in Spain at the time in a private hospital where they had detected the benign tumor. And when I went to see my local gynecologist, and I told her that had been the diagnosis, when she looked at the scan, and she even showed me on the screen, she said, "I think you've been misdiagnosed. There's nothing here. I can't see it."
Yeah.
So that was huge. And I had the scan in August, the first scan in August. Then I worked on the emotions, and then we worked in September, and then I had my second scan in September, and it was just completely gone, vanished. So yeah, and it hasn't come back. I've not had any pains whatsoever.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just amazing. Like this, I mean, we can't guarantee that this would happen to anyone else who's suffering. There's, you know, there's no guarantees in these things. It's just an example of one of the amazing healings that I've done. Oh, by the way, it's a good time to mention as well, if you do want to book in with Spring or me or one of my other amazing practitioners, you can just go to the Divine Empowerment website, divineempowerment.com, and use the code DIVINE20 for 20% off a one-to-one healing with me or somebody else. And, you know, you don't have to book in with me. I'm very busy. And my plan really is to get my practitioners to do the one-to-one sessions with people so I can really focus on the research and development, bringing this stuff out into the world. I've got a lot of jobs to be doing. So I really want the one-to-ones to be working with my practitioners. You can, of course, book me if you'd like to. But yeah, that my practitioners are awesome. They also have different abilities beyond what I have as well. So they've obviously done all the divine empowerment levels, but they've also, they're all healers in their own right. So they might be able to bring other wisdom and other amazing things to the sessions as well. So if you are interested in ECR or dissolving emotions or anything else, really, you can just go to the website. Yay!
And I think it's important also to mention that another way that people can work with the Divine Empowerment Company and with you is the classes. So everybody and anybody can actually learn your techniques. So you're running, in a way, a wizard academy. So we can all become wizards and healers in your academy. So maybe you want to talk about the classes a little bit, how many levels there are. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, this is, I mean, I'm still developing new levels. I'm working on level 15 at the moment. They're all available on my website. I have a lot of students internationally. So it just makes sense to do things on a pre-record. So as you guys maybe have watched this live, maybe you're watching it later, the way that we dissolve that trauma from earlier is basically the way that classes work. It embeds into the video. So if you go to my website, divineempowerment.com, you can sign up for the levels and they're all pre-recorded. So you just literally watch them sitting in your pajamas, if you like, or in the garden, whatever you like, with a cup of tea, watching videos and learning magic. It's awakening you to your true nature. So I believe we're gods and goddesses with amnesia. And I've spent the last 20 years awakening my abilities, and we can awake yours too as well, because we've got abilities far and beyond that we currently know. We're using a very, very small percentage of our potential. And I've been working for 20 years to upgrade my system and other people's systems to really start to be fully embodied about what being a human is. So yeah, you can literally go to my website, divineempowerment.com, and you can sign up for a class. We are doing a deal on that as well. So if you would like to do the class, it's normally 333. They're all 333. But level 1 is available at £75. If you're in the UK, you can pay that over 3 months at £25 a month. And you just use the code MAGIC at the checkout. Use the code MAGIC at checkout and learn how to do that and learn how to dissolve emotional traumas yourself straight away. And that's a really useful thing. If you can start to dissolve emotional traumas as and when they happen, you don't need to suffer. We're all suffering from our behavior, other people's behavior, the world around us. But we can lament on them. And I believe that lamenting on these horrible situations that happen to us, that compression and that thoughts ongoing can cause different illnesses. So if you can actually just clear things as and when they happen, you can just have a much, much happier life. And it evolves your energy system to become who you were truly always meant to be. Also, it's really useful if someone else is suffering to be able to help them and do clearing traumas on other people. And as we progress up the levels, you learn how to do more and more things. But right from level 1, you can learn how to dissolve traumas. And then what level is ECR? It's 12, isn't it? I think ECR is level 12.
Yes, that's correct. Level 12.
And then there's just more and more coming all the time of these amazing, amazing things. So it's all very exciting. So yeah, you can just sit there and learn how to learn magic. And then we have assessments at level 7 if you want to become an advanced practitioner, just to make sure everyone knows what they're doing. But it works. It's just really quite amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the top level classes are always live, which is fun. So I've personally not experienced the online video recorded classes. I'm always with you live.
Yeah, that's because you're with me since the beginning, and you've been in pretty much every class. You've been in every class ever since. So yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So, and I can confirm that even just learning how to dissolve trauma has been life-changing for me. To be able to work on myself, to be able to help family and friends. So it's really worth just doing that in itself, whether you work as a practitioner or not.
Yeah, the other thing I think is really important to mention is about the law of attraction and the dark side of the law of attraction. So people may well be aware of the law of attraction, which is basically what you're focusing on, you're inviting in. Roxy Nafousi has got loads of information on the law of attraction, manifest, and she's doing amazingly because people are starting to learn manifesting. And you know, she's an amazing lady who's teaching people how to manifest. I'm really glad that she's out there bringing all this wisdom into the world. But there is a dark side of manifesting, which I discovered, which is really interesting. So whatever we focus on, we attract in. That's what manifesting is about. Or vision boards, it's like bringing your attention into something, ordering something from the universe, thinking of the universe as Alexa or Siri, and actually saying those things, asking for those things, writing it down, doing vision boards, all of that sort of amazing, amazing magic. But there is a dark side of it. So the dark side of the law of attraction is about focusing on something that you don't want. So if you sit there and have loads of anxiety about, oh my goodness, X, Y, and Z is going to be happening, because you're actually focusing your attention on it, you are actually inviting it in. So even if you had something difficult happen when you were a child, which you weren't necessarily aware of, for example, infidelity in your house growing up, you may not have been aware of the infidelity in your house growing up. Maybe your parents, didn't let you know about it. But if that was still going on, that's still going to be in your energetic field. It's still going to be around you. So it may be that you attract cheating partners ongoing because that happened in the past, and it's just still in the energy around you, inside your energetic field. So what the great sort of almost side effect of using the big eraser and doing this emotional trauma work is that you stop attracting these sorts of things because they're no longer being ordered from the universe. You're not magnetizing that stuff towards you. So it means you have much nicer lives. So if you work on, even if, being cheated on either from past lives or from your family life or from your current life, any of those, and it all does it all together at the same time, then it means it's no longer being ordered from the universe. You're no longer attracting things that you don't want. So it's really, really amazing. So things run a lot more smoothly because you stop attracting karma of all of what people label at karma. I think it's the law of attraction largely. But you stop attracting all these things that you don't want because you've cleared them from your energetic field. So that just means life's significantly easier. So clearing all these things from yourself and others just means everything runs a lot more smoothly.
And you're allowing more life force into yourself, more joy, because you feel lighter. You feel lighter by not having to carry all those heavy emotions that you might still have from past negative experiences or traumas that you've gone through. So overall, it's a losing game, right? That's one of the things that you always say.
Enlightenment is a losing game. So you stop, you lose the parts of you which are not enlightened. But I call it enlightening because I wouldn't call myself enlightened. I think that's reserved for the the amazing ones that everyone would know the name of. And I think I'm a long way from that. But enlightening is a losing game. But you lose the parts of yourself which are not filled with light.
Yes. Okay, so perhaps the last thing that we can also go into is your subscription service. That might be interesting as a way to access you personally, regularly, and to receive monthly healings through that and classes. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So the subscription service is very, very accessible. It's just £55 a month, but we have a deal going on now. To make the first month just 27, and it's a library of videos and live healings for a month, so you can really have access to me. We've only just launched it the last couple of months, so there's still quite a lot of access to me. So I do 2 live videos a month, two different healings. I do one which is pick your own adventure, so I get the people to choose whatever they'd like to do. We don't include ECR in that, but we'll do any other healing, and I'm always inventing things on the spot for people, which is really fun. And then I'll do something else, like the last one that I did was a manifestation workshop, which was actually really brilliant. So teaching people how to do that one. And then I have 2 other things. So 2 other events events a month, which are done by my advanced practitioners. Spring's done a few, doing different healings, and with Energetic Spa was one of the ones that you've done. We've got Julia was doing Connecting to Trees. We've got all the different advanced practitioners. Janie did something about clairvoyance a couple of weeks ago. So there's a huge library.
Too.
Sorry?
And Vanessa ran one as well, I believe.
Vanessa did one. Yes, like all of the different advanced practitioners are doing these different events. So it's and they're lives, and then you can also access the library to watch all of the different videos at your leisure and follow along in the magic works in the videos. So you can be, do that and just go for. You can cancel at any time. So if you just want to do the first month, dip your toe in for £27, no problem at all. So yes, see how that goes for you, and see if you enjoy it, and see if this magic is helpful to you in any way. Mm-hmm. Any other stories we need to tell? Is there anything else we need to address?
Yes, your book. You actually wrote a book and published a book. And if I remember right, you're actually in the background already working on a second book. So do you want to talk about your book?
Yeah. Yes, I'm writing another book as well. So I'm going to write, I'm going to see what happens in that one. I'm going to write a really interesting book next time. I'm going to go into a lot more detail about magic and how it
works.
Where
can people buy your book?
This book is available in the UK at Waterstones. It's also on Amazon, so it's easy to find. Everything's there. Also, I recorded an audio book as well, so it's my voice recording it. That's available on Audible. But yeah, it's Energy Secrets, How to Live to Your Full Potential. So it's got all these different tips and tricks to how to really learn how to be the best version of yourself and the happiest version of yourself. So there's manifesting, the dark side, grounding, centering, gut health, energetic boundaries, spiritual hygiene, body voltage, and energy cultivation. My grand theory of disease. And my grand theory of disease is great because I go into, in this book, I've got pictures of solid liquid gas, how that actually looks and how that actually works. It's really difficult when it's reversed. And then I also have this really, because hormones do the same. Hormones are thoughts. You think happy thoughts, and then suddenly you get all these oxytocin and serotonin and vasopressin. You get those are thoughts that produce liquid hormones. That's another version of solid liquid gas. Or stress, adrenaline, cortisol, those sorts of things are produced when you're in a stressed out situation, which is really interesting. So that's your thoughts becoming liquid. But I'm just going to read this little bit. I think this is a good bit because it's talking about solid liquid gas in history and science. So this is the science lesson because it sounds quite but it's a different way of thinking about disease. So it might be a bit out there for people. So if I tell you how it works in science by reading this bit, it might be quite interesting. Okay, so solid liquid gas in history and science. Liquefying stone sounds far-fetched, but we all know the story of King Arthur and the sword and the stone. The question is, how did the sword get there in the first place? To insert a sword into a stone or bowl, you would need to liquefy the stone and then insert a solid sword. So if you could liquefy stone, I think that's when you're enlightened. If you can actually have the ability to turn gas into liquid into solid into liquid into gas, and instantly manifesting or instantly dissolve all diseases, then I think you've mastered solid liquid gas. And I think then you become a real master. So I do think that in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, where they put their hands in concrete, it's an ode to this. But the next guy, Padmasambhava. So you may have heard of him, who was the founding father of Tibetan Buddhism, who is said to have liquefied stone and left a handprint in Yangyi Sho in Nepal, which is a pilgrimage site. Pictures are widely available to see that. So he's literally gone like that and put his hands into the stone. As I said, Hollywood Walk of Fame, same sort of thing, but less enlightened, enlightened guy rather than non-enlightened people. You may also be aware of visited sites of ancient building that's at Shuman in Peru. No one knows how they were made. There's no concrete mortar or binding material to hold the stones in place. They are so closely cut or melted that you can't even get a piece of paper between them. There are no sharp edges. The edges are rounded. They almost look like hardened wax. So it's worth looking into that. How do they do it? Did people manipulate seemingly solid stones in these ways? Seems to have parallels with my solid liquid gas. Amazingly, the phenomenon of malleable stone can be recreated in a science lab. When kept at supercooled temperatures and zapped to the world's most powerful magnets, electrons become a quantum fluid. This demonstrates that solid matter can become liquid under certain conditions. They did it at Princeton in the 80s. Yes. So what else is it? Liquefying stone is master of solid liquid gas. And if you get that, you are enlightened and you can instantly manifest anything and delete diseases in seconds like some of the greats. So yeah, that's where we are, and that's all very fun. Yay. I think that's a good place to close. Is there anything else?
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything, how people can access you, how people can access the practitioners and receive one-to-one healings via your website. And you've given out codes. So we've spoken about, yeah, we've pretty much spoken about all the ways that people can work with you and some of your discoveries, including your book. So yes, I agree. This is a good place to close.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Spring, for being here today. And thank you, everyone else. For watching.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Yeah, you've got the codes. So we'll write them below in the description anyway, or they're also on the screen. And watch this space. I hope to see you all soon. And yeah, believe in magic, guys, because magic believes in you. See you later, everybody.
Bye.